I do just want to point out one thing, that the president, everybody in Washington, whether they want to admit it or not, knows that this president is right when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to trade.
The country is reeling right now from the economic disaster Trump has plunged us into. He destroyed more than $10 trillion in American wealth in a single week. And then he went golfing and bragged to America about winning the tournament at his own golf course.
As the American people seek answers and clarity pertaining to the utter catastrophe that is the US economy post-Trump inauguration, well, the current administration sent forth their prized verbal gymnast, Karoline Leavitt, and it was everything we've come to expect from the person doing Trump's bidding. More lies, deflection, and this answer on the apparent civil war taking place inside the administration after Musk called Peter Navarro a moron.
There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
See, we're into week 12 of Trump 2.0, and he's already accomplished the unthinkable. He's made Fox News look somewhat logical in spurts, of course, as many hosts felt they had no choice but to tell the truth, that the economy is in shambles and we are barreling towards a recession. And there's only one man to blame, the two-time club champion golfing your 401k away.
We see European NATO allies who are canceling contracts for American planes, for other weapons they were going to buy from American manufacturers, because they do not trust us anymore. And I don't think there is any plan on the table that Russia will accept that will preserve Ukraine's territorial integrity. Last night, Putin sending missiles, sending bombs to Kyiv, to Zelensky's hometown, right? It is very clear what the Russians are doing here. And President Trump, who's talked about using tariffs as negotiating on a whole host of issues, put tariffs on uninhabited islands and did not put them on Russia. The administration is deporting at least one that we know of, Russian national activist who's opposed Putin. So this is part of a broader strategy, a part of a broader closing in of ties between Putin and Trump that makes a lot of Republicans, or at least used to, incredibly nervous.
Thoughts is this big, beautiful economy that actually was rolling pretty good with jobs and inflation coming down feels more like the Game of Thrones Red Wedding. I mean, it is not going well. This is being executed poorly. His economic advisors are being intellectually dishonest. Trade wars are bad. Tariffs are a tax. Consumer prices are not going down.
And speaking of shambles, to help mitigate the damage, the White House sent out Karoline Leavitt to answer questions pertaining to everything from further tariffs set to be implemented tonight.
The president's message has been simple and consistent from the beginning. To countries around the world, bring us your best offers, and he will listen. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. America does not need other countries as much as other countries need us, and President Trump knows this. He's going to use the leverage of our markets and our country to the advantage of the people he was sworn in to represent. On the other hand, countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break, and America will not break under his leadership. He is guided by a firm belief that America must be able to produce essential goods for our own people and export them to the rest of the world. A strong America cannot be solely dependent on foreign countries for our food, medicines, and critical minerals. And America must...
The damage that they've already caused the American people, something Leavitt herself lied about last week when she claimed, quote, there wasn't going to be any pain.
Effectively implementing tariffs while also... This won't be painful at all for American people and consumers, Karoline?
It's going to be, there's not going to be any pain for American-owned companies and American workers because their jobs are going to come back home.
Less than 9 hours from now, tariffs, when it comes to what's going on with the agriculture sector, very crucial here. And the pain apparently is coming. White House saying that those tariffs on China, 12:01 a.m. Eastern time, go into effect. This is going to hit farming states like Iowa very hard. The Hawkeye State is America's second biggest agriculture exporter. $13.5 billion in farm exports in 2023. We've got farmers enduring the same type of angst when it comes to tariffs. Let's listen when it comes to what they are saying across the country.
Already seeing it. You know, our soybean market, the cattle market, I'm more worried about what it's going to do for some of the other stuff that we will purchase throughout the year, whether that's equipment parts, chemicals in the future, fertilizer prices, how it's going to impact things.
Well, how did that turn out?
Investors have seen in their lifetime when this crash is done, but you don't want to try to be a hero and pick the exact bottom. So if you're positioned correctly, you could be nibbling today.
I prefer to call it a collapse rather than a crash. That's a very emotive word.
I mean, this actually runs contrary to the statements made by her own boss, who went from prices will come down on day one.
It'll all happen very quickly. This will rapidly drive prices down, lower interest rates, and put more money into the pockets of American consumers. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down.
There will be a little disruption to his latest. Well, one day you'll see this work.
If you look at what's happening, you got to see this today. I said we're going to try and get groceries down, right? An old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term. Eggs. So when I got in, the press went absolutely crazy the first week. They said, eggs have quadrupled in price. I said, I just got here. Tell me about it. And Brooke Rollins and our team did a great job, and eggs are down now 79%, and they're all over the place. And this was a problem that somebody else would have taken a long time to cure.
But it's not just domestically that there has been confusion and chaos. The ongoing trade war has also caused turmoil in financial markets across the world, creating uncertainty for businesses, while economists caution about the risk of a recession.
You know, there are many ways where we could create great jobs instead of this whole reordering. And so I believe the markets, I've always believed in the markets. And I believe the markets are telling you the real story, and the markets are telling that story right now. Could the story be a little too negative now? Maybe. Could it be not negative? Not maybe too. I'm not here to suggest we're over this pathway. We'll have to see how this plays out.
I mean, just today, Australian leaders offered a response to what they described as tariffs not based on logic, which makes sense considering the man implementing them.
The unilateral action that the Trump administration has taken today against every nation in the world does not come as a surprise. For Australia, these tariffs are not unexpected, but let me be clear, they are totally unwarranted. President Trump referred to reciprocal tariffs. A reciprocal tariff would be 0, not 10%. The administration's tariffs have no basis in logic, and they go against the basis of our two nations partnership. This is not the act of a friend. Today's decision will add to uncertainty in the global economy, and it will push up costs for American households. It is the American people who will pay the biggest price for these unjustified tariffs.
I mean, are we just overlooking the fact that the calculations used by this administration to justify tariffs had glaring errors? I mean, even conservative think tanks have stated the formula used by the Trump administration to levy reciprocal tariffs contains a serious math error.
We're going to get back to what you guys are talking about in the market futures in just a second here, and President Trump clearly opening the door more than he has yet to this point on the idea of negotiations. But put that aside for a second, because if these tariffs go into effect at midnight tonight, the American Enterprise Institute, a conservative think tank, now points out their plans contain math errors, serious math errors. The formula even received criticism from supporters of the president. Republican mega donor and Home Depot founder Ken Langone calls the tariffs, quote, bullshit, saying in an interview with the Financial Times, quote, I don't understand the goddamn formula. I believe he's been poorly advised by his advisors in this trade situation and the formula they're applying.
Which was further scrutinized brilliantly by satirical surgeon John Oliver. And despite the White House later disputing that mathematical reasoning, releasing its own seemingly more complicated equation, which Oliver then pointed out the math still ain't mathin'. Which again makes sense considering it's an equation coming from the people who were trying to tariff land occupied by penguins.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.